Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, greetings to all the countries. It seems like we have a really nice audience today. So welcome to the first online Best in English meeting or webinar. My name is Jindřich Josifek, if you don't know, but I usually call myself Hank to make it a little easier for you. Okay, you can, of course, stay muted. If you want to, you can turn off your web cameras if you want as well, but maybe during the session, if you would like to say something and share something, or you have a question, maybe it will be better if you will turn on your web camera as well, so we know kind of who is talking. And I think it will be a little bit more interesting rather than if it's just me, being inside of this, let's say, session. So fine. Maybe one thing that I should mention at the beginning, and please be aware that this webinar, this meeting is recorded. It's not because I like seeing myself all the time and making videos out of it, but it's just because we had quite a lot of teachers asking if this session, this meeting can be recorded. So that they can look at it afterwards because they didn't have time to join us today. So maybe one more test. Can you hear me right, everybody? Or who doesn't, just send a message eventually to the chat. Yeah. And of course, you can always join in and say something. So thanks a lot again for joining. Yeah. And so what is the schedule? Yeah. Of course, at the beginning, I'm going to talk about a little bit about the upcoming contest in general, what you can be, let's say, expecting. We're going to look at the website a little bit more for those who are, let's say, rookies when it comes to the Western English competition and don't know the competition that well and maybe need some small guidance. Of course, we're going to talk and look at the test itself a little bit. I'm going to show you the first page so we can get a little bit more familiar how you can get your students signed in on the day of the test. And then we're going to talk a little bit about prizes, certificates, and of course, maybe one matter which is quite important because it troubles us all nowadays, and that's the COVID situation. Yeah. All right. Okay. During the let's say, this 1 hour that we have ahead of us, please feel free to not really raise your hand, but there is actually an option within the Zoom, so you can even give it a try. But feel free to give me questions, not only, let's say, at the end of the meeting, but throughout the whole time. I think it should be fine. We're not kids anymore. I'm pretty sure that we can, let's say, keep on the conversation without getting into each other's, let's say, unfinished sentences and thoughts. All right, fine. So the upcoming contest or the Best in English in general. So I believe you all are familiar with the Best in English, what it means and why we are actually organizing it. For us, let's say the main point of view is that it's a benchmarking tool more and more year after year because we have more and more schools and students, so they can really compare their results not only within their school classroom, but also within the region, country, and let's say within the whole Europe, or we could call it a world, but of course not. It's not the whole world participating. Okay, last year we had 16,000 students from 600 schools from 25 countries, if I say it right. Yeah. So the situation in the Czech Republic, for those who are not familiar with the situation over here nowadays, it's not that optimistic, really. After 2 weeks of something like a relief when it comes to the pandemic, we're back on let's say, increase in the numbers. So right now we have 8,000 cases daily, and our population is 10 million. So you can compare it to the numbers that you have in your country. So this will give you at least some sort of an idea how it looks like over here. The whole meeting over here is actually in our living room. Yeah, I'm not in the office. It's kind of not really forbidden, but it has been advised to all of us that we should be working from home. So we kind of obey this rule, and we're having this webinar over here at home. Yeah. So if you wonder what's that behind me, so that's a part of a Christmas decoration. Okay, so fine. The upcoming contest. Yeah, the date is clear. It's the 22nd of January. What is not always so clear is the time. Yeah. Originally, or the years before, it was usually from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Since we understand that for some schools it might be a little bit challenging to organize a test, let's say under these circumstances, we have decided to prolong the time, and it should be ending up at 2 o'clock. For some of the schools, based on our discussion and information we have and feedback, some schools are thinking about really having a couple of waves of students coming into the, let's say, computer room and taking the test one after another. So let's say one class can start at 9 o'clock, the other one can start at 10:15, another one can be coming in, let's say, at 11:30. So you can have 10, 10, 10, let's say 30, or really depends on the capacity of the computer room, but you can have a couple of, let's say, classrooms coming into the computer room and taking the test in the online option. Yeah. So, or online, at the school option. Fine. So this is the information about the time. So when it comes to the test itself, I believe that you did have a chance to see the test last year. Yeah. Those who are regularly joining, they of course have the experience, so they know what it is about. If you haven't seen the test from 2019, for example, then please have a look at the website, because it's available over there. You can give it to the students so they can really test it out, and they can see what the test is about. There is one, let's say, important feature which will be added to this year's test, and we're gonna have actually a menu there. So once the student is entering the test, you probably, all of you are probably aware that there are certain sections and certain parts of the test. Let's say at the beginning we have use of English, and we have reading, then we have, let's say, comprehension and listening. And the menu will be there actually on the right side of the test, so the students can actually skip from one section to another, and actually also from the reading part to the questions beneath it. So I believe the navigation within the test will be a little bit easier. You probably remember that the test contains 60 questions. It will be the same this year again. And 60 questions, of course, since it's only one page, then the whole page can be really long, and scrolling up and down is a little bit complicated. So that's why, based on actually feedback from you and the students, we have decided to add a menu to it, and I hope it will help. It should be working also on the mobile phones, and the way their students are used to use the menus, and when it comes to Android or iPhone. So it should be working fine. It has been tested, so I believe it will be helping the students out. So that's the menu. Online and offline version of the test. It's maybe not a best expression to call it offline, because the test itself is online. But what I meant by this is that, of course, you can have students based on the updated rules, which will be taking the test inside the classroom at school. Yeah, so that is somehow we call it offline. Yeah? And the other version is that you have students completely online. They're not at the school premises. They're not within the educational institution, but they will take it home. Yeah, they can, based on the updated rules of the contest, and we don't really need complete, let's say, proof from the schools that the school is closed. We just need some sort of at least an email and information from you that that you have made that kind of a decision that the students will be taking the test from home on their own device. Yeah, so that's, let's say, the online version. Okay. So any questions so far? Or am I too fast? I see something in the chat. What if students will not be able to come to school? They're not able to come to school, or some of them are not able to come to school. Yeah. Then it's not really a problem. During the signing into the test, they will just fill out for one questions the exact location they're taking the test, if it's at home or if it's at school or some other like location. So this way we know the place the students will take in the test. Yeah. For us, it's not a problem. For you, it might be a little bit complicated because we would like you to still have some sort of a supervision and an idea and control over what the students are doing when they're taking the test. So the online version of the test was meant that, okay, students are at home, they're taking the test, but they should be a part of some, let's say, Microsoft Teams, or some other session which will be opened up by you using distant learning tools. So this way you will have all the students, let's say, gathered into one virtual room, and you will at least have an idea what they're doing, or you can give them guidance when they're entering the test. You know that students are sometimes a little bit not completely organized, let's put it this way, and they forget what the school ID is, or they would be asking questions, okay, I will be 16 next week, so what age should I put in, 16 or 15? On questions like that. So I believe it would be better if there's still, a teacher, even though not present, but at least online, who can answer these questions before they enter the test. Yeah, fine. Okay, another questions right now. We have a problem with paying the invoice online. We have a classic invoice sent to my school. Okay, so we will be talking about the payments later on. So I'm going to get to this. Number of students is limited or not? Number of students is unlimited. Yeah. However, in order for the school to participate and compete, the minimum number is 8 students. We have decreased it from 10 students to 8, based again on the feedback from a couple of the schools which were saying, okay, for us, since we're really small, it's quite tough to find enough of candidates. We don't want to push the students, so it would be mandatory for them, but have it in, let's say, in a voluntary way, and 8 is usually easier for them to find and to pick than 10. Yeah, so that's another question. Well, thanks a lot for the questions, by the way. Okay, so in my country, school should start on the 18th. In my country, okay, yeah, understand. Well, still 18th is, so to repeat the question, in my country, school should start on the 18th. Before that time, I will not know if the school will be open or not. So in this case, it's not a problem. Yeah, the latest we should know which way you will be, let's say, organizing the test for your students on the 20th. Yeah, 2 days before, that would be enough for us. Yeah. In Google Classroom, we can watch them with cameras on. I'm not sure what is meant by this question. In Google Classroom, we can watch them with cameras on. That shouldn't be a problem. Maybe if you can clarify this question, Edita, if the problem is that you cannot watch them with cameras, I believe you can, right? I'm not familiar with Google Classroom.
I meant that during the lessons in Google Classroom, I can ask my students to can see what they are doing during the test. I meant that way. I can supervise them.
Yes, sure. Of course, you can do it. We prefer, that option. On the other hand, we understand that it's another demand for the data traffic. Yeah. So you'll see how this is going to run. And because the students will not be just, let's say, communicating with you, and that will not be the only data flow, but of course the test itself, mainly when they will be watching some videos, will be of course more demanding when it comes to data. Yeah, so, but of course, if you can have the cameras on, it will be much better. Do they need to have their cameras on while? Well, that is of course something which we have discussed. We cannot really make sure that the cameras will be on the whole time, and we will not be watching this kind of activity. Yeah, so we kind of rely on anyway. We kind of rely on the teacher if he has at least some sort of a control of what the students are doing. If the cameras are off for some time, there's nothing we can really do about it. Yeah. Yeah. So it's preferred, but as I was saying, it's not mandatory. So section for students who lived abroad remains. Yes, that remains. Yeah. I'm not sure if you all understand what Edita meant by it. Yeah. But when you're entering the tests, I'm actually going to look at it afterwards. I'm going to maybe explain it over there. It will be a little bit more easier so you can actually see it. So the exam will take 60 minutes, right? The 60 minutes, of course, somebody can finish the test even earlier than within the 60 minutes. That's not a problem. But the whole session will expire for the student after 60 minutes. So it is actually one of the toughest parts of the test for the students to finish all the questions within the 60 minutes. Many students are not able to do it within the 60 minutes because the level of the test is B2, C1, but still there is a lot of to look at, to read, and it is the time that really matters, and not only the points, but also the time. That is actually one of the things which make us a little bit more confident when it comes to cheating, because we know that if the student doesn't have it in his head, he doesn't really have much time to look for the answer somewhere else. Yeah, because the time matters. Mm-hmm. And since you have additional, let's say, 16,000 students competing, then of course there will be definitely some students who know everything, not everything, but majority of the answers from top of their head, that they don't have to look for the answers anymore. So the best one and the fastest one wins. Okay. Do we have to inform you which way we are organizing tests at school? Yes, please. If it's possible, well, possible. If you can, please send it to us as soon as possible. Let's put it this way. And the last day for this kind of information should be January 20th. If you don't know, then of course we will find out when we are evaluating the answers, because we will know the IP address of the student and all the other students from the same classroom. So that way we know that they haven't been sitting in the same place. That's one part. And we have additional question added to the signing in page. And there the student should actually put down the location. Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. So do we have to inform you? Okay, level B2, C1, yes. Yeah, Edita, you probably are familiar with the test already quite well. So some of you can confirm the how much difficult the test it is, how much difficult the test is for the students. So for some students, it's quite easy. Those who already have some, let's say, high Cambridge certificate, for example, in their hands. And for some students can be a little bit more challenging, of course. Can I get briefed on the competition, please? Not sure, Vera, what you mean by this. What kind of information you would like to know? Maximum number of students per school is not limited at all. So we have each year a couple of schools which have 150 students joining in. Their internet speed is definitely quite fast, and they don't really have a problem with it. Usually schools from Estonia. Yeah. So, Zorana Vekic is asking, can the students apply for the test individually at home without being gathered in Teams Google Classroom? They can. However, of course, we will be questioning them in case they will be the best of all the students. Yeah. Because it's in the rules right now, updated, they should be supervised, even though they will be taking the test from home. Yeah. So if for some reason on the day of the test, they will be entering the test without actually you being there as their supervisor, okay, then it's fine. They can give it a try. They can find out what the level of English is. However, if they would be within the top 20, let's say top 50, and we will find out that they haven't been supervised by the teacher, then we would be asking, okay, what happened, or what was the problem? Was there a technical problem? And so on. Mm-hmm. Can I please be briefed up on the competition? Okay, we're going to look at the web page. Maybe that will help you a little bit. Yeah, Stuart. Then 60 minutes and 60 questions. Yeah, I think it's totally 60 questions. Yeah, it's quite challenging, I was saying. Okay, fine. So maybe let's move on to the next part of the meeting and webinar. You feel free to put on the questions, and we're going to look at them in a bit. Yeah. And I will share with you a couple of things. So let's start sharing the web page. So yeah, so this is the web page of the Best in English. Majority of you, I'm pretty sure, are familiar with it. Upcoming contest is down here in this menu. What is definitely quite important for you to look at is the rules and terms and conditions of the test over here. It's actually under the upcoming contest there as well listed. There is a link to it. Yeah, but please have a look at the conditions so you're aware of who can join. And the most important part, I am pretty sure, is the purpose of the test. And there we have a paragraph stating who should be taking the test and who shouldn't be taking the test in general. To make it easy, everybody who has, been born outside of, not outside of, in an English-speaking country, then in that case, he really kind of shouldn't be taking the test if he's been living or she's been living in that country for more than 2 years. Yeah, so that is maybe the easiest way how to explain it. Yeah. The main purpose of the test is actually to attract those students who've been really studying English, not born in English environment or English speaking environment. Yeah, I hope it makes sense. That is the most really important part of it. So the second, let's say, thing I wanted to show you or make you aware of is the previous contest, and over there you can see the public test from 2019. So those who would like to, for example, send students some, not really homework for the Christmas time, but for those who are thinking about really competing for the school, you can send them the test, the 2019 version, and over here they just put 4 zeros as a school ID, or they can start typing, and eventually those schools who were joining last year will be there as well still in the database. As you can see, there are, for example, quite a lot of schools. And just fill out the signing in page and start the Best in English test from 2019. So that's one of the things I wanted to show you. And next thing, which I believe is quite important, is registration page. You all have already registered, I'm pretty sure, is the payment part. over here is our payment form for the license fee. And the license fee is 35 euros or 900 crowns, as you all probably know. So once you fill out the information for your school, and you select the country, so I'm going to put down about Croatia. I noticed a couple of you are from Croatia, so put down Croatia. And now we have the option which sometimes is, let's say, confusing. And now over here you can see pay now or pay later. That's what it means actually over here. So if you pay now, then you will be redirected to an online payment, let's say, server, under Comgate, that's our provider. And over there you can pay with a credit card, banking card, and so on. So that's option one. Option two, if you select it, then an invoice will be generated. If you just click over here on one or the other option, you'll see what will be next. Proceed to payment or invoice. So if I click on invoice, then a new invoice will be generated with all this billing information, which I just did put in, in the fields. And of course, the Best in English license fee is over here, and all the information which you need in order to make a bank wire transfer. If for some reason this invoice is not sufficient for your accounting purposes, which of course happens, and that's completely fine, then of course just let us know, send us an email to info@, bestinenglish.org, and we will generate a regular invoice for you from our accounting system which we're using. So it will, I believe it does, this version does, let's say, include all important information, but in some countries, let's say the accounting is a little bit more complicated and you need additional, say, information in it. So it's not a problem. We will tailor it for you the way you need it. So that's the invoicing. And maybe one more thing which you can notice in the payment section is actually over here. And you can regenerate your invoice here. If you know your invoice ID, then you can actually generate the invoice again if you've, let's say, lost it for some reason. So it could be, let's say, this, and I know that there are some numbers, so let's say 3, like that. 3. And now I see one of the invoices which have been generated before for this particular school. Right, so this is all that I wanted to share with you when it comes to the web page. We have some new references over here. Thanks a lot for sending in. And so are there any questions, new questions actually right now? Can it be just 2 students to attend a competition? So can it be just 2 students to attend a competition? The competition rules really state that we need at least 8 students. So I'm sorry. Oh yeah, I see over here that somebody already answered the question. So thank you very much, Kamel. Okay, I have a student who is 20. Is it possible for him to attend? I'm sorry, the age limit is 14 to 19. We have to limit it somehow. We would love to have everybody in, but then it really wouldn't make much of a sense anymore for comparing the results, really. So we need to have some age limitations. So of course the student can take the test, but not the, let's say, sharp version, but a public test which will be there for you probably in February or March, because the test will be here added as a public test, let's say in February, or I believe maybe a little bit later on, probably in March. So the student can check it out, he can find out what his level of English is, but I'm sorry, he cannot really participate, or she cannot. Okay. Fine. Yes, that's a good question from Jasna Bobicic. Yeah. If the time can be prolonged, yeah. So official time is really 2 o'clock. Yeah. However, we have some of the participating schools from quite distant, let's say, locations. Yeah, we have a school from Mexico, and they're 6 hours behind, or actually, if we take the test at 9 o'clock in the morning, then they still have 3 o'clock in the night. Yeah. So for them, for example, we had made that exception, yeah, and we're counting with having them in the test even later on. Yeah. So if you really have trouble joining in earlier and you need to, let's say, start at 2 o'clock, just let us know. That kind of exception is not really a problem to secure for you. Yeah. So we will add your school ID to the list of schools which will be entering a little late. Mm-hmm. So I did not hear about the deadline for the payment. Of course, the earlier pay, the better for us. So we don't have that much of administration to look at. However, of course, you can pay in 2021 during January. For us, it will be the best really to have all the payments, let's say a week before the test. Yeah. So let's say January the 15th, it would be great to have all the payments, and eventually we could be looking into a couple of, let's say, missing payments or not really paired payments, because it happens sometimes that some of the license fee which we receive do not really include some information who has actually paid the money. So for us, of course, there is some investigation involved as well, finding out who paid for the license fee and for which school. Do we need to register the students? No. So Eileen Andres Sarun, hope I spell it right, or actually pronounce it right. Do we need to register the students or do anything else before the test needs to be done? Not really. You don't have to register your students. They will just sign in during the test, actually on the 22nd of January. So that doesn't need to be done upfront.
That's me here. Can you hear me? I'm Eileen,
yes.
The one you could not pronounce. Okay.
Okay.
So I was wondering, we paid, and I got the information that everything is okay with the payment. So I don't have to do anything. Just my students have to appear on that day at a certain time that you will say, or you already know the time, and do the test.
Yes.
That's it.
That's right. The only thing which I would do, is if you know which computers will be used for the test, I would test them out before that. If the connection is working fine over there, and mainly if the computer is working with headphones, if all the videos will be working fine. Yeah, so that is one of the things which I'll be testing, not only on the, let's say, school computers, but eventually you could send a test to the students, the 2019, for example, version. Yeah, and they can test their own devices there at home. Yeah, or with their, let's say, data at home, their internet connection. And another thing which I would probably, let's say, suggest is that not only testing, let's say, the computers, but also, that's probably the only thing. I'm sorry, I kind of forgot my second thought.
Is the test at 9 o'clock? At what time is the test? At 9 o'clock, or you're going to let us know that later?
It starts at 9. Yeah, you can enter the test whenever you want to. Yeah, we don't need to really know about it. Yeah, you can start at 9. You can start at 9:15, 9:20. That's really up to you.
Okay, but
so it's completely flexible.
The time is Prague.
That's Central European time. Yes. Okay, so what questions did I miss? Do we need to register students or anything else?
Deadline of payment.
Yeah, the deadline for the payments, as I was saying, is, let's say, the 15th of January. Yeah. If somebody pays later on, we're able to cope with it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course, you know, it's more challenging for us if we receive many last moment payments for the license fees. Yeah. Okay. So there is one question: if the students are supposed to download any kind of specific software to take the exam using their own computers. Not really. They really just have to have new version of Chrome or new version of Edge, or let's say updated firmware in their tablets, in their iPads, let's say all these devices they will be using, or mobile phones. They can even take on a mobile phone. So it just has to be updated, so it will be communicating with the test without any problem, and the cookies should be turned on, meaning enabled, not disabled, because it really, the test works in a way that once the student is actually clicking on any kind of the questions or the answers, then all these answers go to the cookies, and these cookies are then sent to us through the system. So this way, if the cookies are not enabled, the data will not be stored and saved. So that is the most, let's say, important hint you should really give the students. This test itself is actually testing if the students have the cookies on. If they don't have it on the device, let's say quite large, and a warning will be appearing at the page, at the top of the page, saying, hey, you're taking the test, but you don't have your cookies on. And maybe you should either turn them on if you know how, or you should move to a different device. So let's say, the rule number one when it comes to the technical background the students should really prepare for. Okay. So another question, I can only see test results. How can I get to the tests? Test results. Okay, well, the tests are over here. If you still see my shared screen, here are the results and here are the tests. The public test 2019 and public test 2018. Yeah. How will the nation take place? We cannot go to schools right now in Turkey. So I understand that the schools are closed in Turkey nowadays, or at the moment. Is that right, Imad? Yeah. So if you have such a problem at the moment, and I'm not sure if that will change in January or not, we might be facing the same situation over here in the Czech Republic as well, because numbers are rising, and it might happen that the schools will be closed again. Yeah, then in that scenario, under this scenario and circumstances, yes, the students can take the test from home on their own device. You just send them a link, and it is advised, or we kind of have it in the rules, that you should be supervising the students when they're taking the test online using some distant tool that you're used for regular teaching online. And so if you're using, for example, Google Meet, or if you're using Zoom, or if you're using Microsoft Teams, then you should send the students a link to the session which you will open up for the test, for the test day. The students will join the session. This way you can organize them all together. You can talk with them. Okay, so this is the test. This is the information you should put in, with the way you should log in or sign in. And once you're ready, start or push on proceed to the test. And then I will be looking at you, what you're actually doing. And if you have some technical trouble, then ask me, I'm here for your questions. Yeah, so this is kind of the way it should be done if you're not able to supervise the students really at school, but only using some distant learning tools. Yeah. So I hope that answers the questions. How can we help our students to feel more confident? Okay, feeling more confident. I don't think it's really a problem with confidence that much. Yeah, it's a test. Yeah. The more tests you take in your life, the better you get, kind of. Yeah. There should always be some sort of a progress. The test itself, based on the feedback from some of the teachers and students as well, it does actually prepare them kind of on the on some of the Cambridge exams as well. Yeah, so it's something like a preparation test for these kind of tests, which they can be taking afterwards. So it is an experience. Yeah. So they should probably look at it this way. Yeah. They don't really have to be feeling that much stressed, I believe, and nobody's going to give them a bad grade because they didn't compete well, or it might of course happen that they will not be within the best, let's say, students. They can be, let's say, in the middle of the pool, or even behind. Yeah, but still, you can really compare your results, and you can compare them not maybe with the best schools, but eventually with the similar schools when it comes to the type of the school. So it can be vocational schools when the students kind of apparently cannot have such a good English if they have only 2 hours a week. If you compare it to some of the gymnasiums or really high class and prestigious high schools when they have even some classes in English, say complete classes like biology, history, and so on. So really comparing results with the best students does not make that much of sense. You should always compare yourself to those which are, let's say, same type or on the same level or same age, and so on. Yeah. Fine. Persuading them to join the test might be sometimes a little bit tough. I understand it that sometimes the students kind of refuse to go and try the best in English, that they're kind of afraid of it, but I don't really think they need to. Yeah, there's nothing that they're really investing, and they're just investing their time. Yeah, and another important thing is that results will not be anywhere public. Yeah, nobody's going to find out that Michael Božíšek, has been competing and he had only 2 points out of 130. Yeah. Nobody's going to find out. Yeah. Only the teacher. And I'm pretty sure that they already are used to, let's say, sharing the information with the teacher about the results, and the teachers know their level of English. So I wouldn't be afraid of it. Okay. So, section previous contest public test. Okay. Once again, please, cookies on or off. It has to be on. Yeah, it has to be on. You can use Google Meets in Turkey. I'm not sure, but probably you can. And keeping watch of the students during exams. Keeping watch of the students during exams. Huh? Cookies definitely on. Can we put the students in several groups that will start at different times? So that's a question from Nina Matskova. Yeah, already kind of mentioned it before. And of course, you can have them in waves. There is one important message in regard to this option, and that is the computers are storing and saving the cookies, meaning that all the information which has been entered before on this computer on the same web page and address, which is a test, it will be stored there. So if you have second wave coming into the classroom, taking the test on the same device, the information the previous student put in and the answers will be there. So the only way it will be, of course, announced, and we're going to send it to you within the rules, but it's quite important that the students, when they're entering the test, should be, in that case, students are taking it anyways, use a private window, or anonymous in Chrome. I hope you understand what I mean by it. Yeah, but I'm gonna make it clear when we will be sending more information about how to join the test. Yeah. So, okay. Yes, that's not really a problem. An additional question from Nina. Students can take the test at home. You can have one group from 9 o'clock, another group from 10:30. Again, it's the same as if you were at school. That's not a problem. But the information when I was talking about using the same computer, that is really important. If that happens, that the students are using the same device, they really either should clear all the cookies, which is usually probably needs to be done by the IT, some IT guys or some IT staff if you don't know how to, or really you have to take the test in an anonymous window. Okay, fine. So let's move on to another thing which I wanted to share with you. And it's actually this over here. So this is a test. And 2020. So let's go down. So this is the first part, the school ID. Once a student starts entering the school ID in this particular field, like I'm going to do right now. So I start with F and then I do, for example, S. You can see that the drop-down menu actually states exactly already the schools which are in the system. Yes?
Sorry to interrupt you, but we can't see it.
Cannot see it?
We only see this invoice regeneration that was there before.
My bad. Thanks. Share the screen. I just have to switch to the better screen. Yeah. So you can see it now. Perfect. So when you're entering the school ID over here, just start typing F and maybe S, and you can see really the drop-down menu with the schools and the school dice. They're just going to select the school and they're studying at, like this one over here. Official school name is right beneath it, and automatically. So then just name, last name.
Please, can I ask?
Yes, go ahead.
I have just tried it and I used the ID for our school and it is not working.
It does not work in the 2019 version, because we don't have the database from 2020 in the 2019 version, if you understand what I mean.
Oh, okay,
so,
I see.
Yeah, so you will not be there either. The only option will be if you have still the school ID from last year.
We don't.
You can use it in the 2019. Okay.
Oh, I see. Yeah, thank you.
If you don't have it, then just enter 4 zeros. Yeah. Or you can actually enter it with any kind of school ID because it's not official test anymore. Yeah. So telephone country code. Sometimes the students have trouble with entering the telephone. They just have a feeling they have to fill out one field, not both of the fields. And the full number over here. I'll just put it down. And no spaces. It says over here, no space between the numbers, please. Age, but it should be only within the range from 14 to 19. So I'm 15 finally again. Gender, I consider myself a male. Year of study, we have added other over here because sometimes the students are confused if they're first year, second year, because not every country has, let's say, in the same way of the classification. So I'll put just down other. And this is the new question we have over here, which is I'm at the moment at school using a school device and I'm supervised by a teacher. At school on my own device and supervised by a teacher and so on and so on. And I just put down taking the test on my own. And over here is important. My English language background is I'm a native speaker. The English language is my mother tongue. So if you select this one, so that is actually the only way how you will be automatically disqualified from the test. So it is good to advise the students that if it's not the case, they really shouldn't be clicking on this. This is the central part is for majority of the students, for 99% of the students, is that I'm not a native speaker. I haven't lived abroad for a long, long time and 18 consecutive months. And I don't come from a multilingual family where English is being used. And the third one is a special category which we have introduced last year because of the demand we had from some of the schools. And that is the case when the student is not a native speaker, has been studying English, but also has that kind of advantage that is, for example, having a dad who is an American and, for example, so that would be the case. Okay, and then they just have to click over here. These two fields are mandatory. And then over here, it says, after clicking on the begin of the test, and you just click on begin the test and you start. If the cookies are not turned on, a big red, let's say, field will appear over here saying, warning, you don't have your cookies on, do not enter the test. Yeah. Okay, so any questions to this? I must leave now. I understand, yeah. But we're kind of moving to the finish, I believe, anyway, which is good. Yeah. I wanted to keep really the 1 hour, which we promised at the beginning. Fine. So I'm gonna close this window and probably stop sharing as well. Fine. So that's when it comes to the web page. There are a couple of things maybe which I should mention, and it is the troubleshootings, and when it comes to the Windows, the test. For some of the students, sometimes it happens when they're taking the test, they have a trouble with the videos. Yeah? That they freeze, they're not able to continue the videos. So that is one of the reasons why we have in the test just an audio version of the, let's say, listening comprehension part. Yeah. So that is one of the options. Video is not working, use the audio. If even the audio is not working for some reason, yeah, then of course it gets quite tough in that situation, and it will slow down the student quite a lot. But we're sending, for those who don't know it yet and didn't take the test before, we're sending the videos and audios to the teachers 1 day prior to the test. So you will have it on your computers, and eventually if something goes wrong, you can kind of always share it with the students, yeah, or you can show it to the students using, for example, a projector, one or the other way. Yeah. That is one of the possibilities when it really goes wrong. Yeah. So then what happens, or what is important to mention? Students should, of course, have headphones. So that's one of the things when it comes to the test. If the computer is not working, yeah, or stops working, turns off, yeah, falls down, yeah, then the students can move to another device. We allow that, yeah, but only within 15 minutes after they have entered the test. Yeah. The reason is because it will give the students too much of an advantage. If they've been looking into the test for 45 minutes, then it drops down for some reason. I will call that situation bad luck. There's really not much we can do about it. And what the teachers are always doing, or what we give them as an advice, send us the student's name, send us his, let's say, information. He can actually finish the test if he wants to, or if she wants to, but he will be then eventually disqualified, because after 45 minutes or the student already knows the answers, and that gives him a really big time advantage. Yeah, hope it makes sense. So another thing is the test gets unresponsive suddenly. So the whole test will freeze. The student is not able to do anything with it. It's usually a problem with the Chrome or with the browser itself. So we usually give the teachers advice, press the F5 button, refresh the page. If it starts again, then it should be really working nicely. All the answers should be there if the cookies are on. If this does not help, maybe you should restart the browser. Say, really close the window and open it up again. If this doesn't help, you can even restart the whole computer, yeah, or a telephone or whatever, and start the test again. If the cookies are on, then you should have the answers there. Yeah. If the answers are not there, then you're in trouble, and we're not really able to help you much. So sorry. Students must use anonymous mode. That's something which I did mention. And that's the case when the students are taking the test in waves on the same device. Yeah. Don't forget that they should have the anonymous mode of the browser. Yeah. It sometimes happens that the student doesn't see the final score once he does push the submit of the test button. Yeah. So there is no score there. It happens. It's usually because of a heavy load during big data traffic during the test. It does not mean that the student's result is not in the system. Yeah, so he doesn't have to panic or start crying. So what we advise usually is go back in the test, because you can go back in the test, yeah, and try to send it again. Yeah. We always have, each year we have students, like 100 or 200 of them, who have more than one, let's say, test submitted. Yeah. And we always are looking at the latest one. But let's say, sometimes we're questioning the student which version is the right one and what happened. Yeah. So that's another situation. Fine. Okay, that's all when it comes to the troubleshootings. Any questions? Let's check it out. Thank you very much. Information. Okay, I have to leave. So, all right, we can move on to the next thing, and that's the prices. Prices of the when it comes to the best in English. You're probably aware that the best student will win 2 weeks in Canada with accommodation, including flight ticket. I think it's a great prize, and we're really happy that we have ILAC as our main partner within the competition for the past 5 years, 6 years maybe. Yeah, so every time the students really love their experience in Canada, and there is not really much that the student should be investing when he's traveling to Canada, only some pocket money. So I think it's a great experience. However, we were unlucky this year or the previous year that the students had no chance how to get to Canada. So those two who did actually win the prize in 2019 didn't get a chance to fly to Canada yet, but still it's on the list. We're counting with it. And the students don't really have to worry about it. Fine. Okay, these are the, let's say, not really prices. It's not complete. It's not updated. Yeah, on the website yet. The information there on the website is still 2019. We are expecting another partner to be added to the Best in English competition and to the prices. Most likely, it will be a UK-based language school, and a second student within the competition will win. Probably 2 weeks in London or some other destination. Yeah. So we're gonna finalize that probably this week or at the beginning of January. Yeah. Okay, so maybe one additional information, and that's the certificates. Yeah. Every student will receive a certificate, and of course the school will receive a certificate, and the teacher will receive a certificate after the test. It takes us some time to evaluate the results, and we always have to check on the best students. We have, let's say, personal discussion with each best students within the best 20 or top 20. And it takes us sometimes, usually a week or two. So please be patient, and we will announce the official results usually after 2 weeks. So that will be probably beginning of February. And after additional, let's say 1 or 2 weeks, we will be sending you a link to certificates, so the students can download their own certificate. You can as well, and of course the school as well. On the certificate, of course, there will be the information with the result. And if you were, for example, the best within your country, within European Union or worldwide, and even within the region. That's what we usually have for some, let's say, countries where we have more schools competing. So we even are able to divide the results or actually show you the statistics within the region. Mm-hmm. Fine, so there's, okay. Hello, Rene. I'm sorry to hear that you had a chance to enter, let's say, this later on. But don't worry about it, because the whole session, the whole meeting is recorded, so it will be online afterwards, so you can look at the beginning or what you have missed. Can you please repeat how to set the anonymous mode? Okay, well, fine. Let's just show it. It will be probably the best. Yeah. Anonymous is actually, for example, over here. Yeah. So this is my Chrome, yeah, and these are the separate windows. Yeah. If you click over here, then over here is new incognito window. Yeah. So that's where you find it. Or on the edge, there is also, you know, you click over here, a new window in private. This way, the cookies will not be completely stored. You know what? It's something I came up with today when I was thinking about it. And once thinking about it right now, it's not really a good idea. So yeah, because the cookies will not be stored. Okay, so that's my bad thinking, and I have to think about the way how to sort this out. Yeah. So forget about the anonymous mode, forget about the in private, because then the students would have a problem with cookies. Yeah. Okay, fine. There is one more section one more thing that we wanted to talk with you about. That's the current COVID situation. Yeah. And I was saying it at the beginning of the meeting, what the situation is like in the Czech Republic. We have some 8,000 cases daily. If you compare it to 10 million of the inhabitants in the Czech Republic, then it will be what? Yeah, okay. Fine, I'm going back and I'm stopping the sharing mode. Fine. So that is the situation in the Czech Republic. We don't really know how this is going to develop. I hope there won't be any crazy and tragic kind of scenario happening in January, but of course it can happen. Yeah. So we're of course closely watching the development in other countries as well. So far, it looks like that the worst situation is in the Czech Republic. Yeah. Everybody else is doing better than us. We are best in COVID. That's what the government over here says and states all the time, which is really funny. Yeah. And of course, not really happy about it, because it is more challenging for the teachers. And if all the schools are closed on the 22nd of January, I can really imagine the amount of questions that will be running in, and all the problems which will arise if everybody's completely online using the distant learning tools. It will be probably a nightmare. So we hope that majority of the schools will be operating normally and opened up. Yeah. And that let's say online organizing of the test with using the distant learning tools will be only, let's say, an option of last reserve for, you know, as a last option. Okay. No, this time we win Croatia. Okay. So it's the worst situation is in Croatia? I don't think so. What's the number in Croatia right now? Oh. 4,000 daily. And the population is 5 million? 4 million. Yeah. So you're better. Okay. All right. Fine. Are there any more questions? Because it's kind of all that I wanted to tell you or share with you today. And I hope I did mention everything important, because there was definitely something which I missed, and I'm pretty sure that I did mess up one thing, which was the anonymous mode, which I just, realized when I was saying it again, that it's not the best way how to do it, but I'll find a way, technically how to get over it. Definitely if we clear all the cookies after the first student taking the test, then a second test and a second wave of students can come into the classroom and take the test on the same device. That will definitely be working. Yeah. And I'll try to find another way how to help with the situation if it would be a complication and a challenge to find somebody from the IT. So are the wrong answers going to cancel the correct answers? Okay, so that's a question from Razim. Are the wrong answers going to cancel out the correct answers? So each part of the test has actually a different algorithm of counting the right and correct, let's say, answers. So for example, there where you in the listening part, once you have really the correct answer, you get 2 points. If you have an incorrect answer, you answer, you get 0. Yeah. On the other hand, the toughest part is within the grammar. Yeah. And this part, when it comes to the use of English and really the questions which only relate to, let's say, sentences and finding the right time, verbs, and so on, and filling out the information there. There are actually the questions in a way that it's A, B, C, D. And if you get the correct answer, you get 1 point. And if you miss an answer, you lose half of a point. And if you don't really have something correct, yeah, then I think you're losing again at some point. So you can even have some minus points within this part, yeah, of the test. Fine. Okay, so any more questions? Unfortunately, less than 4 minutes. Okay. We are a patient team. Thank you. I don't think we're that patient always, but we have 2 patients upstairs, 2 kids waiting for us impatiently, looking forward to a dinner. So we should probably finish so they can, so they will not eat us alive. Yeah. So that's another thing. Okay. There was one thing I wanted to ask you, if it's possible, during this hectic time, please share the information about the Best in English with some of your colleagues, which you know that they're teaching English at a different, let's say, high school. So we will spread out, the word about the competition a little bit more. And we have more schools coming in from, let's say, even different regions, different nationalities, different schools, different countries. And it will be even bigger. And I'm pretty sure it will be even more fun. Okay. Fine. Well, that's all from me. Yeah. And if there is no more question coming in, I believe we can end. If anybody wants to say anything, please turn on your camera and say something. Okay. Okay. Nobody is joining. Never mind. Nobody's so brave. Okay. Okay. Well, it was really nice having you all over here. 36 participants. That's the current count, which is great. And thanks a lot for taking your time before Christmas. I'm pretty sure you need to be right now baking some cookies or doing preparations or finding a way where to store the presents for the kids. So thanks a lot again. Have a great Christmas time. And I'm really looking forward to the year 2021, and I wish you all the best. Hope the upcoming year will be much better than this one. And I don't think it can be worse, really. It can be only better. Okay. Take care. And see you maybe next time. Yeah?
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye. Merry Christmas. Bye.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye.
Bye.